And then it used to be, oh, got a great result, I'll be happy. Oh, terrible result, affects you, makes you feel angry. And I've come to realise that that piece of metal is only one small step, one small piece in the puzzle of, good health. And so, of course, I can go along to my meeting. I can weigh in once a week, and that's what I do. I don't weigh in at home. At the moment, I have to because we're doing Zoom Weight Watcher meetings, so we have to weigh in here. But I just do it once a week. You can say to your coaches as well, look, I just really want to focus on some other things at the moment. And then at times they might say, right, we're going to weigh you once a fortnight. You have to weigh in monthly. But for me, it's not something that I use as a measure of, I guess, where I'm at. And so even, if I start doing some weights, my body changes and the scales change, as long as I know that my eating hasn't changed, it's okay.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Slimming Stories. I'm your host, Claire Oldham West. Today's guest comes all the way from Australia. Julie Slaviero is one of my first podcast listeners, and I was really interested just to cover her story. And it's also her birthday today, so the day that this gets published, it's her birthday. So happy birthday, Julie. Julie has lost over 4 stone following the Weight Watcher plan. And also, I believe it was last week that she was able to go out shopping and buy her first size 12 as an adult. That must be such an amazing feeling, and I'm so pleased for her. If you'd like to follow Julie on social media, you can find her account at Jules, spelled JOOLES _Slav, spelled SLAV. And I'd love for you all just to come over there and wish her a happy birthday. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? To have all that support from fellow weight loss members that are on the same journey or a similar journey. And not only has she lost weight, she has started to swim. She goes on these gorgeous walks. If you go and look at her account, you'll see these beautiful beaches, and I'm so jealous. I'm not going to lie, I am absolutely jealous. Is introducing Julie to an episode of Slimming Stories.
I've tried Weight Watchers off and on over the years, probably like a lot of people, yo-yoed up and down. And then I've got 2 children, so one who's 15 and one who's 9.5. And so before I got pregnant with the second one, I went back to Weight Watchers to get my weight down, fell pregnant. And then after I had her, I was up probably sitting up just under 100 kilos. So went back again, and again, just could never really stick at it, couldn't get to the goal. And then in 2018, I just wasn't feeling the best. So sore back, sore knees, just not happy with myself. And so I rejoined then. I started in the January and then probably stopped in about the June, just wasn't in the right mindset. And then I rejoined again in the October. And since then, Claire, I haven't missed a meeting. I went to see my doctor to have a chat about a goal because, they set the goal range to do with your height and your age. So for me, that was 55 to 67 kilos, which I've never been that. And I'm 48 now. So went back and just made slow changes and chipped away at working, I guess, particularly at my headspace. And the goal that we set was 85 kilos, so which I reached a couple of months ago. And now for me, it's about chipping away at another 5 to 10 kilos.
Yeah, and it's great that you have that support with the group, with your GP too. So for anybody that's listening out there that likes to know the stones and the pounds, so Julie so far has lost 4 stone 2 pounds. I always have to say that, so I always kind of forget kilos. I need to learn the kilos.
Convert to kilos.
And that is a great amount to lose. And I hear what you're saying about the knees, because that's something that I've struggled with. So when that affects your knees, what was it like for you, Julie, just to carry that excess weight around on a daily basis?
Oh, it was really uncomfortable. I couldn't kneel on the floor with my children very well. I couldn't sit cross-legged. I would go for a little walk. My knees would ache. I would often have to, maybe take some paracetamol just to help with the aches and pains. And also, we go away a fair bit. We've got a caravan, and I just felt that I couldn't do a lot of stuff with the kids, and that often I was just sitting on the side on the chair while the kids were enjoying the swimming pool. Just doing normal everyday fun stuff with them wasn't particularly enjoyable. And so now it involves a lot of walking. We do bike riding. And I actually took up swimming lessons last year, Claire, for the first
Wow.
time. I didn't really learn. Yeah, I didn't learn to swim as a child. And so as an adult, I would just swim with, flippers and snorkel and mask. And I think just through losing the weight and wanting to concentrate on being the best version of myself, I wanted to learn how to swim properly. And then all that's come to a stop at the moment with COVID,
Yeah,
but it'll
yeah.
it'll resume again once that's all gone.
Brilliant. And do you swim in the sea? Are you able to do that, or is it just swimming pools at the moment?
Um, Swimming pools at the moment, but I do have a boogie board, which is like a bodyboard, not a surfboard,
Yeah.
and I've got a wetsuit because I'm fortunate enough that I'm only 5 to 10 minutes away from the beach. So
Wow.
yeah, but I'm not very good with the really cold water, so it's
No.
a little bit seasonal. I was originally born in Scotland, and I remember swimming in the
All right.
sea as a child.
Right. When did you emigrate?
1979, we got
Right.
out of the Margaret Thatcher government.
Well done, you.
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Before the
I'm not
poll
political. Before the poll tax. Nobody ever paid it. Don't worry. Nobody ever paid it. You remember your time in Scotland then? You enjoyed that in the waters?
Yeah, got some small memories. So we
Oh,
lived
lovely.
in Edinburgh, and yeah, I still remember swimming, even though it was freezing cold as a child, but it was good fun.
Oh, brilliant. And it's great to hear that you've taken up swimming, and that's, it's quite a courageous thing to do, I think, actually, when you're not, you have to trust, don't you? You have to trust the process, because when you get in there, obviously you've got no control over your life because you can't swim.
Yeah.
So potentially all the time while you're learning to swim, you are literally drowning. So you have to get that support with the
Yeah.
float, the inflatables, and just trust the water and get in there and start to learn to swim. And is that because that you felt the weight coming off and you trusted that swimming was going to be another healthy addition to your new health regime?
Yeah, exactly right. I've not been a person to enjoy going to gyms. I used to go to classes a lot when I was younger before I had kids, and I just wanted things that were just easy to do and didn't rely necessarily on membership. So yeah, do a lot of stuff with the walking, the bike riding, and the swimming.
Definitely. And it must feel lovely just to think that one day you can get in that water. And I've seen your Instagram posts, and the beaches the beaches that
Yeah.
are around you are, I mean, amazing. I just want to get this kind of into perspective a little bit. So I'm surrounded by forest. I live about 3 miles from Shield Forest. But when I look at your Instagram account, I see the beautiful shore and the sand. It really is just amazing. Can you still kind of appreciate the beauty of where you actually live?
Oh, I think you can, and you have to. And with working from home, I often get to go for a walk after work down where the beach is, and I just walk and I think, how lucky am I to be able to live here?
Absolutely. And I know that you've been trying to get into running too. And is it your children have been doing that with you as well?
Not so much the kids; they're very hard to drag out
Oh,
sometimes.
okay. I
Yeah,
get
I
you. I
just
get you.
yeah, I've got to just find out how my foot's going. So the other reason I took up swimming, I'd been seeing a foot guy and I had to get some orthotics, and I had a pain that just wouldn't go away, and I had to have an x-ray which showed that the little bone in the ball of my foot's actually fractured in 3 places, and I've
Gosh.
got a couple of bursitis and the start of arthritis on the top of my foot.
Oh,
Just yeah, so it gets quite painful, so we had to do some treatment with that, and I've got an appointment just to find out with my doctor if I can get another x-ray to see where the bone's at and whether or not it's healed, because I'm just really careful with the weight bearing with it,
right.
uh, because it feels good now. But if I guess play with it too much, then I don't want to have to go and see an orthopedic surgeon or anything.
And was that as a result of the running? Is that how that started, or is it
No,
just
I've
the
never
arthritis?
actually been able to run. It's always just the walking. And then I wanted to start doing, the 5K couch app thing. And I just started doing just a small amount, but then I started just getting this burning pain. And with the fracture, they don't know what, because it didn't happen at the time where I started getting pain immediately. So
Mm.
how I fractured my foot. I'd done a really big hike when we'd gone on holidays at what we've got the Grampians here, which is quite a lot of pressure stepping down onto large steps of rocks. And I'm not sure. I think I may have done it then with the pressure of going down.
But it's good though that you're thinking about alternative options to the running. I know you've just
Yeah.
bought a bike as well, haven't you too? So how's the
Yeah.
biking, and are there some beautiful trails around where you live?
Oh, yeah, there are. There's some beautiful, what we call rail trails, and also the trails from where I am along the coastline. So yeah, I've always had a bike, and my trusty bike I've got at the moment is about 10 years old, but it just doesn't have any suspension. So trying to go over the hills or the rocks, yeah, not so amazing. So yeah, I'm going to go to the bike shop today and get this other one sorted out with all the features that I'd like on it.
Yeah, I mean that is one way to get yourself fit, isn't it? Not have a
Yeah.
suspension on the bike, not have a
Yes.
suspension. So looking at the weight gain that you had, would you say that you've always struggled with your relationship with food, or is this just something that started
I
later on
think
in life?
growing up, I think I just ate too much, Claire. I'd never ate masses amounts of food, but I just ate too much for what I needed. I was never a particularly sporty child. Both my parents worked, they worked full time. So often, particularly when I was in high school, I'd be on my own and would probably just eat out of boredom. And, our family very much grew up. If you were sad, you had food. If you celebrated, you had food, but not huge amounts, but too much for what my body needed.
Yeah,
And yeah, and then when I got married 22 years ago, I think I was just snacking and eating the same way as my husband, but I just don't have the same metabolism that he does. And and very much like would always think, oh, if you go out for dinner, it's the entree, the main, the dessert. I still remember if we'd go for the Chinese banquets and having to listen off the button on my jeans just so I could
mm,
fit in more food.
yeah,
So I think it's just that education, the tools to understand, I guess, the philosophy of eating. But I think it's also up to yourself to go away, take that information and work on yourself and just learn a bit more about what works for you.
that's right. And what also triggers you? And you mentioned mindfulness at the beginning. So, what does mindfulness look to you like? If I was to say, right, okay, write me a chapter on mindfulness, how does that apply to you in your life?
So, with mindfulness, I hadn't thought about it a lot until this virus started, and I've never been someone to struggle with mental health or anything. I've been fortunate, but when COVID hit, that really was affecting my anxiety. I was trying to do my groceries, just trying to meal plan and shop for the week, and I couldn't get the things that were on my meal plan because of restrictions and people were being greedy, and I just couldn't get what I wanted. And I came home and I was in a bit of a state. Anyway, I thought, what am I going to start doing? What tools can I start using to help calm? Because I didn't know at that point. I thought this COVID thing was just going to be a month or so. So I actually started practicing using what we have, the Smiling Minds app, every night, and also started looking at really good sleep hygiene. So, being in bed by 10 o'clock, trying to read some pages off my book doesn't always happen, but doing the Smiling Minds every night. The other part with mindfulness for me is just being able to control what I can control, and not taking on other people's drama and stress, and just slowing down. And that's one thing I've loved. I think I was born for COVID because I am an introvert, and I just love not having to rush around. I want to talk about the podcast, and like not just your podcast, which is amazing. There's another podcast that I listen to, and I'd never listened to one prior to COVID. And then because I was able to do daily walks of an hour, I started listening to yours. And then the other one is called the You Project, and they have just helped so much. And, you know, whether it's through the guests that you've had or through the other one where there's a series of guests and topics that they talk about, I think life is just about learning, and so you can take away little messages from everything that everybody says that goes, you know what, I can do that.
You know, sometimes I'll interview a guest and they'll share stories about the running and the weight loss and the meals and different things, and usually there's a common element that people can relate to. And I think there's a lot about resilience as well. That's what we've had to do with COVID, isn't it? We've had to really grow a backbone, you know, to like superhuman, like an archangel Michael backbone. It's like stand tall, grow your wings, stretch them out, and you know, let's see what we can do in this pandemic, just to, I guess, survive and be safe and help others and support our family and friends. And yeah, we've had to change our minds around what's important, what our needs are, and how to meet our needs. And like you said, you know, you're a natural introvert, and I'm the same. I'm the same. It's like, great, don't have to go out. I can stay indoors and just talk to people on Zoom. Yay! But yeah, no, I think even I've missed catching up with friends and family. So yeah, I mean, I always say to my husband, I just want to stay on my own, no children, no husband, just leave me for the day, and I can do my own thing. So, but no, I understand where you're coming from. It's been nice, hasn't it? It's just been nice just to have that time.
I know. It's really, look, I wish there was no virus, but I think everybody needed this as a bit of a reality check to slow them down.
Yes. Yeah. And I think now we've come off the gerbil wheel of life, because I always think, when would we actually have this break? And I know that there'll be people listening to this that are thinking, I've still had to go out to work, I'm working. But for those that were on lockdown and at that time away, it was, you know, kind of a break prior to retirement, because a lot of people just work, don't they, every year on year out, and then, you know, they have retirement. And I guess this was a time just to reflect and pick up new hobbies and interests and sports and lots of different things and podcasts, and just fly with it, which has been lovely.
And I think also the opportunity to have the time to focus on myself helped me get to the goal. My weight really started moving during the time of COVID.
So for anybody listening that would like to take up a new sport, even though they've had some health struggles themselves, what advice would you give them? Obviously you've got the arthritis, you've got the pain in the foot, but you've chosen cycling and swimming. What piece of advice could you give to somebody?
I just think find whatever works for you. You know, people always want to know, what exercise should I do that's going to get the weight off me? But for me, exercise isn't about getting the weight off me, because that's what I try and control with the food. But the exercise element for me is about things that are fun. Look, my advice would come back to do what you know you can do, you know, a number of times a week. I know that I need to start thinking about doing some weights, because I'll be 50 next year, and been listening to some really great stuff about the benefit of resistance training and the weights, and particularly as you start moving into the age bracket and with menopause and stuff, and that, you know, that weight that we tend to carry around the middle region. So that's something I want to explore as well.
I love weights, absolutely love weights, because if you've got any monitor for your heart rate or for burning calories, you put the watch on and set that, you start lifting weights, and you'll see that go through the roof. And people worry about lifting weights, don't they? Think, I'm not gonna lift weights because I'll bulk up and I don't want to look big. But you know, the muscle is tight, it's just tightening up. It's a great fat burner, absolutely burning. I feel it's just a quick way to get your heartbeat racing and to burn those calories, more so than cardio machines at the gym. And I think with weights, what you can do is you can switch it up, switch it down, change it
Yep.
around, and all the time you're kind of like challenging your body, because often if you do the same thing day in, day out, yes, you're burning the calories, yes, you're burning the fat, but your body actually gets used to it.
Yep, it's not getting out of its comfort zone, is it? And
No,
it's not going to make any changes.
no. So with weights, like I said, people will think about they don't want to bulk up, or I hear a lot that people say, well, I'll go to the gym and then my weight loss will slow down. But often
Mm.
that's because obviously the swelling of the muscles and then getting used to the exercise, and then it will obviously go. But I still believe that people do kind of get a little bit fixated with the number on the scales, and that's probably a bit weird coming from me. I go to a diet club and I do get weighed regularly. I'm more thinking on the lines of getting weighed once a month. I love using weights. I love going to the gym. I love being active. But when you do start to use weights, it does affect your weight. So how preoccupied are you with the scales in your journey? Is that something that has really been your like main focus? Is that something that you could kind of detach from?
Actually, this time around, I've got a really different relationship with them. So, for a long time, I might, it'd be a daily weigher. And then it used to be, oh, got a great result. I'll be happy. Oh, terrible result. Affects you, makes you feel angry. And I've come to realize that that piece of metal is only one small step, one small piece in the puzzle of, good health. And
Mm,
so, of course, I can go along to my meeting. I can weigh in once a week, and that's what I do. I don't weigh in at home. At the moment, I have to because we're doing Zoom Weight Watcher meetings, so we have to
yeah,
weigh in here. But I just do it once a week. You can say to your coaches as well, look, I just really want to focus on some other things at the moment. And then at times they might say, right, we're going to weigh you once a fortnight. You have to weigh in monthly. But for me, it's not something that I use as a measure of, I guess, where I'm at. And so even, if I start doing some weights and my body changes and the scales change, as long as I know that my eating hasn't changed, it's okay.
yeah. I think that's a great idea, just to get weighed once a month,
Yeah.
because it's quite easy just to get obsessed with that weight on the scales, isn't it? It
Oh, and
really
really, like
crazy.
as you know, you can line up 6 different women, all the same weight, but can look completely different. And so I think fitness is really different. And that's actually what I've loved about the fact that I don't have to get down to that determined range now, because it's just a big pressure that you can take off yourself. And as long as you're feeling fit and well and your mental health strong, there's not a lot else I think that a set of scales is going to show.
That's it, definitely, for sure. And I hear kind of loud and clear that this is all about a journey of health. This is all about feeling good inside. And this is not about having a number that's going round and round. You're not identified by your weight. You're
No.
identified by your new health and your new regimes, and it's all the balance, isn't it? It's all balance now.
Yeah, and just enjoying meals, Claire, and cooking, and
Yeah.
and I guess this time, like I set up a bit of a routine. So I tend to, you know, work out my meal plan, ask everyone what they love, get some favorites on there from everyone, and then I'll usually shop enough for say 5 dinners. And I know what I generally will have. Brekkie in the morning is usually either porridge or some eggs, and then lunch is similar, so that's easy. But as long as I've got dinners planned, because I work, and at the moment I've changed from working part-time to full-time, that helps a lot, because it means I'm not visiting the shops after work, and I'm not getting tempted, to buy the extra stuff. We all know what that's
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So easy, so easy. And it's like I'll go to the shop and I'll buy some bread and some milk, and then you come out, you spent £20, and you're there with the
Yeah.
cakes and all the rest of it. So
Yeah.
that's that. You really do need self-control, don't you, when you go to shops, especially after
Yeah.
work, when you've had
Yeah.
a hard day. It's nice here that you're planning your food and you've got that control, and it sounds like the family are involved too, so you're not having to do separate meals or any fast food. It's all decent, healthy food that you're
Oh,
preparing.
Yeah, really great meals. And, it's funny because sometimes my husband used to say, "Oh, are you making me one of those Weight Watcher meals?" And it's like, yeah, it's a Weight Watcher recipe. And it's that funny, that connotation they have in their head of what they think is a Weight Watcher meal. And in
Yeah.
fact, there's usually not much left over.
No, there we are then. There we are. That's great to hear. That's great to hear. And it's just nice to eat food that you enjoy and it's nutritious and it doesn't look or feel like diet food, isn't it? It's nice just to have that feeling that you're in control
Yeah.
and you can eat decent food.
Yeah, and you can still, have a life. I can't eat out meals lots and lots, like outside the house because it does affect my weight because I suppose we don't know always what they're putting in
No,
there, and that's just me. And I don't have the time to spend more than an hour a day on some exercise to sort of, counteract that. But we can still go out for a coffee if I want the odd, treat. I can do that.
brilliant. And for anybody listening that would like to follow you on Instagram, what's your Instagram handle, Julie?
Yeah, it's Jules Slav, which is JOOLESSLAV.
Brilliant. And I hope there's people listening in the UK that are daydreaming now of beaches. And if you'd like to see some beautiful beaches, head over to Julie's Instagram account and you'll be able to, just kind of get lost in the vision of the beaches. I know that we're probably
Oh, and
not going
some
to be going. Yeah.
other great locations as we travel in the caravan as well.
Oh
You
wow.
might get to see a different part of Australia.
I'm not. I'm very, very jealous, and I know that often we'll go to Spain on our holidays, and all that's out of bounds at the moment. So, yeah, I'm going to keep my jealousy at bay. I'm going to keep it
That's
at
okay. I
bay.
used to get to do what you do when I used to live there. So, you have
Yeah.
to make the big trip over here one day.
Oh, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Absolutely amazing. My cousin used to work out there and live with his family and New Zealand. And yeah, you know what? I think for me, I don't know how people cope with the heat. Today we've had a really, really hot day, and
Oh,
I think I'm actually a vampire, and it's so, and I'm like, I'm blinded. So I don't know how you can cope with the heat. I can cope with the spiders, but not the heat.
well, we don't always have heat because I'm in the southern bit of Australia.
Okay.
So summer is hot and that can get up to, in the 40-degree temperature Celsius, but it's winter now, so it's cold. And we've got the snow season and skiing and yeah, so and in where I am in Victoria, we can have 4 seasons in one day.
Wow. There we are then. I'll
Yeah.
probably be happy there then.
Yeah, 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 we'd be fine here.
So, just with a parting word from you, Julie, if somebody has, I don't know, lost their resilience, if the mojo feels well and truly squashed, what piece of advice would you offer just to kind of give them a bit of a pick me up?
You're worth it. Just always think you're worth it. Know that you're worth it. And just one step at a time, one meal at a time. Um, some people like to do it online. I like the meetings. I've really enjoyed the friendships that I've made and the interactions that I have, and also the knowledge, I guess, of the coaches and other members. So don't think, oh, I'm going to start, I'm going to fail. Don't think you're going to fail because you're not. Because I used to think that and I would fail. And you just have to think, I just got to keep going and just do this time for me, and really work on, I guess, what's going on in your mindset.
Hmm. Brilliant advice. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy Saturday morning. Hope it was
Thank
worth
you.
it.
Oh, it's
Thank you
great. I'm
so
just for a
much.
walk now, so it's all good.
Exactly. You're all sorted.
Do
So
you want to turn up for this big day in my pajamas?
exactly. Rock it with style. Definitely. Thank you so much for joining me today, Julie. It's been a pleasure interviewing you. Take care.
Thank you, Claire. Bye bye.
Happy birthday, Julie. This must feel so surreal to have you on as a guest. And if you're listening as you're walking along the beach, I hope you've had a great time and keep sending those photos over onto your Instagram account because I really do enjoy looking at the beach and dreaming. I can but dream. And if you're a new listener to Swimming Stories, if If you'd like to share this episode, if you know somebody that is struggling with their weight loss and fitness, if you'd like to share the episode, then no doubt people will be inspired by Julie's weight loss journey. And I'm looking to start to interview again in the new year. And if anybody listening knows of any great guests that would inspire other people with their own weight loss and fitness goals, please send me a DM to SW_SlimmingStories_podcast. I have a huge list of potential guests. I've had lots of guests that have agreed to interviews, but I'd just be interested from my listeners who they would love to hear next. So until next time, have a great week. Take care.